Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live episode of Wrestle Rewind. I'm your host, Tommy T, joined as usual by Double K, Smokey Z. We have two new additions to our crew tonight. We are going to be officially announcing the arrival of A Mann, who will be here with us live each week as we do this broadcast, and we have added additional support behind the scenes to assist with the broadcast, and that's going to be Nico, who's hanging out off camera in the back, and we'll make sure that he's also going to do some fact-checking for us this week.
Okay.
So much like I served last week for you guys, it was helpful, so we're going to have him do the same thing this time.
You did a wonderful job, by
You
the way.
did, Tommy, too.
Well, I couldn't talk, so...
Right on.
You know.
I mean, that's normal. You just physically actually couldn't talk last week. Got it.
So we're not even a minute in, and I'm already going to tell him I hate him. So we're off to a good start.
Well, we had to make up for last week.
You couldn't tell him last
That's right. I couldn't tell him last week.
Oh, it was sign language.
So
Yeah.
we've got a variety of things to talk about tonight, guys, before we get to our normal trivia that we've spiced up a little bit with new questions. We're going to have 3 people competing, and we have buzzers for you guys to use. This is... it's already out of hand, and we haven't even gotten there yet.
She started.
And you know, we're going to start right off the top with the most recent event in the wrestling world, and that was WWE's Super Showdown. You know, there's a lot of things that we've got on the run sheet here, and folks, I'll tell you that it doesn't really matter what we put on the run sheet. We kind of hit and miss these things all throughout the broadcast. Some of the stuff we don't ever even talk about because we've already rambled on long enough that we don't have to talk about it. But there's a few key points that I'm going to let A Mann take the lead on about the first 2 things that we're going to talk about, and we'll go from there.
Well, I think the obvious one is Goldberg and Undertaker's match.
Okay.
Everyone saw the show, right?
Oh, yeah.
In
Yes.
entirety?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
It was decent, though, up until the last 90 seconds, or
Yeah.
maybe 2 minutes.
So are we talking about the show or the match?
Well, I guess both. But I guess in this situation, the match more so, because they had odd chemistry together, and it was kind of what you expected to. Big eyes, hard-hitting, all that.
We call that, we've got a word for that here.
Oh, yeah, what's that?
God, here we go.
It's called
Smash
Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth.
I did my homework, I remembered.
Had a girl.
But yeah, it's just time for both of them. I think Undertaker more so than Goldberg maybe, but yeah, it was pretty brutal. And seeing Undertaker get dropped on his head.
So I mean, I think there's a couple things there, and I've seen him get dropped on his head. You know, for me, I immediately when I think about that, I think about the dive over the top rope at WrestleMania 25.
Gosh, yes. Yes.
He somehow managed, though, to keep that from actually being straight down
Well,
on
and it
his
was
I don't
head.
know how.
it was the one moment in
We got
his
his arms down.
the one moment in his career where I legitimately thought, he's done.
Yeah.
There's no way he's
Yeah.
going to get up from that. I don't know how he did, but I'm grateful for that. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I've done some homework and looked at several different superstars that have commented on, you know, what the fans have had to say about that match. And Chris Jericho commented on it. Bully Ray commented on it. I mean, there's just been...
Well, everybody's had a comment on it.
Mark Henry has even gone. I mean, you see these legendary performers that are coming out and saying, you know, they're defending Goldberg and Taker, and I'm not going to say that either of them really need to be defended as much as it was the circumstances.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that from the very beginning, and this goes for the whole show. So we were going to start off with the best and worst match of the night, and to me, that match was the worst match of the night.
Yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately, it was, and you start off with guys that you're in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and the ambient air temperature is 98 degrees.
Yeah.
But the temperature they were measuring in the ring was 108.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
So-
All the lights and
Well, they kept
everything.
Right.
putting it up on the screen.
So 108 degrees in the ring, you've got 2 guys in their 50s that don't do this routinely or regularly, that didn't do that. I mean, people can say they did it for the money, all they want, but Goldberg's one stipulation to going over there was WWE had to pay to fly his son and his wife to go with them. That was his one stipulation to doing that show. He didn't care about the money. He just said, hey, I'll do it, but you've got to send my wife and my kid to watch me perform. And so I give kudos to him also for what he did following the match when he went out on social media and apologized.
Pretty
and
well.
said,
Yeah.
Once he became unscrambled.
Yeah. And that happened early in the match. What, 2 minutes
Well,
into
he was out cold for at least 6 minutes on his feet.
because he was just, well, I mean, so you pointed out a great point when you go back and watch that match. After he takes the dive into the post, he was supposed to come out of the corner, and Taker was setting up for the choke slam. But Goldberg stumbles over to the ropes instead. He doesn't even go anywhere near Taker.
Because Taker was planted, ready to slap it on.
And so Goldberg was, the lights were off, or the lights were on, but there was nobody home.
Well, I think it was you and I that were talking when you were talking about when he hit his head on the turnbuckle. He just kind of lays on the turnbuckle.
Well, he was out.
I mean, it wasn't like a 30-second period or anything, but I mean, if your lights go out, you're out.
Yeah,
You're good. And it was 3 to 5 seconds before he moved off the turnbuckle.
I mean, normally you get the shoulder to the post, but it was straight.
Well, I mean, he didn't take the turnbuckle the way he was supposed to begin with. No. However, he knocked himself out.
Well, and one of the things that I think it was Chris Jericho pointed out, or it might have been Bully Ray, pointed out about how, when it's 108 degrees and you're out there and you're sweating, it's very easy for that sweat to get in your eyes.
Yeah.
You can't see what your target is. You don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
And again,
that makes sense. That's fair.
Those are big guys. So anything that would be a Kofi Kingston hit, tack another 80 pounds behind it, and that's what you have when you have a Goldberg Undertaker hit. So a bump that Kofi Kingston would have just popped away from, Goldberg's 54 years old and headfirst into a steel post.
260.
Right.
Still.
So, I mean, they both looked in great shape. It's actually the best I've seen Taker look.
No, they came out ready. They came out ready to go.
Yeah, well, and the start of the match, I'm pretty sure everybody had that same gut reaction when you saw the two spears, and you're going, is he getting ready to squash Taker?
Right.
Super Showdown. Like, is this really going to happen?
Yeah, after Spear 1, I thought, oh my God. I moved to the front of the seat. I did. And then he hit Spear 2, and I'm like,
We were literally talking about it.
Didn't see it coming, but...
Right?
Is this going to be like another Brock Lesnar?
Right. I mean, you and I were together for the Brock Lesnar Goldberg match, and then watching that was reminiscent directly of that
And that
match.
was on purpose.
Oh, sure.
It was just brilliant.
It set the tone. And for the next several minutes, it was the match everybody thought it was going to be. Two heavy-hitting sluggers that were just going to brawl.
Well, but it was the most simple move that killed the entire match. I mean, it was a missed spear in the corner.
So very rarely do I ever come to the defense of a lot of the wrestlers that have, gone in this business and then turned around years later and decided they want to sue WWE for concussions and things like that. You chose to get into this business. I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't wish any harm upon anybody.
Right.
But, folks that go into the NFL, I have the same belief there that, going into a contact sport or a performing art like this is, and expecting not to have some sort of lingering injury is like a soldier joining the military expecting not to get shot at some point.
I agree. I agree.
So, and there's going to be people that disagree with that. I'm going to hope that Nico's over there monitoring our Facebook page in case people interact and have comments about this. We actually missed one on our last show.
He just waved at you.
We had an individual who did comment in the middle of our segment last time, and we just didn't see it.
Tommy T.
Thank you.
Yeah, wasn't that you?
No, it was not me.
No, not the comment. Weren't you supposed to be watching that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. However, in my defense, I was on medications, so I still managed on medication one day out of surgery to run the whole production of the show without mishap.
You did a great job, Tommy.
So I appreciate that, amen. So the baseline for this of where I was headed was these folks the individual who came out and said something was Vito. You and I talked about this the other day.
Yeah, I sent you guys the clip from his
Big
Facebook.
Vito? Like the dude who wore the skirt?
from
From
the
FBI
ECW.
and the FBI, the full-blooded
Yeah.
Italians.
So
Is he still wrestling?
but he is part of the lawsuit against WWE for concussions.
Okay, I just haven't heard him. in a long
And
time.
he made a very
he's on my
valid
Facebook.
point, and it's
Really?
it's
Oh,
the
right on.
first time that I saw one of those individuals, and I went, you know what, I agree with him.
Yeah.
Because his statement was, what happened at Super Showdown with Goldberg, the moment that the ref and Taker realized that there was a problem, why didn't somebody do something?
Yep.
Why didn't somebody stop the match?
Well, and
why didn't an official, when you see him stumbling out of the corner, not having a clue, like clearly that what was supposed to happen didn't happen,
Right.
and not once did a physician come over to him and say, "Are you good?" You know, even when we see pay-per-views here in the States, you see the moment somebody gets busted open,
I was about to say the
instantly
same thing. Even
there's
with
somebody that
small
runs right
Yep.
over there. That didn't happen
Nope,
here.
it did not.
That's so true.
And he
I
did
didn't even
get
think about
busted
that.
open.
He did get
he was,
busted
he was,
open.
yeah, his entire
they
face and head was
did
covered in blood.
Nothing about it. They did nothing about it. So all that did was add fuel to the fire of these folks that are claiming WWE doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because you had your biggest match on one of your biggest stages, because they build those shows overseas like mini WrestleMania.
And they say WrestleMania quality.
Right. You created this concept. You have arguably one of the most legendary performers ever, two of them in the ring, and one of them is hurt, and even the ref didn't do anything. What makes me more concerned about this is the fact that when it happened and so the match ended, right? The match ended.
Like his microphone.
Yeah.
Somebody should have stepped in and did something right there. But
And then what ended up happening was there was a video that a fan took of Goldberg collapsing outside of the ring immediately after he got out after the
Oh,
match.
really? Oh, I
He
didn't-
fell face first, no hands up, nothing, collapsed right outside the ring.
well, even before that, as soon, when they kept on zooming in on Taker's face and how you could just see it.
Like right
He was
when
just
the match
disgusted,
ended,
right?
When he sat up.
Yeah, but in the background, you saw Goldberg trying to stand up in the ring, and he couldn't get off all fours. And he just kind of flops over on his side or on his back.
I give.
Then and only then was the referee showing any concern.
But I give Goldberg so much credit with that too, because he didn't have to finish the match. He could have told the ref right after that happened, "Hey, I can't compete."
I don't think he knew he finished the match.
Well,
I mean, seriously, like he was borderline incapacitated. I mean, look at him,
yeah.
and you tell me if he's okay, and he's not hurt, knocked out, injured, whatever, that he can't still pick Taker up for a jackhammer. Absolutely, he can still pick Taker up for a jackhammer.
Right.
Now, did they kind of blow a couple moves early on? Yeah, it was a little sloppy.
Expected to a lot of people.
Yeah.
That should have been a surprise, or then anyone ammunition is like, "Oh, look at them, they can't go." Like, how long has it been since Goldberg wrestled? 2 years?
2 years.
2 years.
Welcome back, Smokey Z.
You good?
Thank you.
Hey, man, everything
We're
good over there?
We're good.
Is your vape okay?
Yeah, that's all right.
New equipment, new setup, new production. Things happen.
Same.
Yeah, things happen.
Same vape.
Same vape, though.
Yep.
Same vape.
That
Isn't
Same
that the
vape.
one you took a rock bottom on at WrestleMania? Is that the same one?
No, I think that was my old one.
No, okay.
People listening to this don't have a clue what you're talking
It's okay.
about. But
Well, they don't know most of what we say.
so that's fair. So there were several parts of that, though, that you mentioned Taker being visibly unhappy about the ending of the match, but I think there was also some lack of Goldberg's understanding, because you could tell after that jackhammer that Taker, being the veteran that he was like, "Oh, we're done with this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
We're done with this." And so he made the right call. Choke slam, didn't even go for let's talk about the tombstone for a second. When Goldberg's head
yeah.
bounced off,
Yeah.
I was sitting there. I immediately reminisced of seeing. There's another time I've seen the back of a bald head scrunch up when it hit a mat.
Owen and Steve.
And Owen and Steve,
Yeah.
and that was immediately what I thought about when I
Yeah.
saw that. And so I gasped, but I was like, because you could tell that wasn't going to go well from the beginning because Goldberg actually had one of his legs wrapped around the back of Taker's head.
He could hold on with his hands.
Yep.
I mean, again, he was out. There was nobody home with him. I mean, it just, bottom line, the match should have been stopped.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
It should have been stopped. I get that it's your marquee match for that show. I almost would dare say that I'm probably the opposite of most of the fans. I'm not going to tell you that I think that they should have those two should retire. I almost would like to see them get an opportunity to fix it.
But
and
now,
have
do
a
they
better
actually
match.
want one? Is my thing. What do you think they would want one?
Well, so
I think Goldberg would.
I don't know. I
he's a
think
very proud man, so I would
Yeah.
not be surprised if he
I
would
wouldn't be
say,
shocked.
"Give me another shot.
Yeah.
Let's fix this."
I think they. If he wants it, they owe it to him.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and this is probably going to be the unpopular opinion. Any of you may agree with me or disagree with me. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm still going to say it.
Well, I mean, we knew that.
Yeah. So, but you look at what happened at Super Showdown, and I've seen the criticisms and all the things. Super Showdown Goldberg Taker was no worse than Roman Reigns Undertaker WrestleMania 34.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Because
I can't really disagree with
there
that.
were several moments in that match. Distinctly remember Roman Reigns trying to reverse the tombstone, and that was one of the most painful times that I've ever watched WWE television because the Taker just wasn't capable of doing that particular maneuver. So for me, that match, much larger scale, one of the company's top performers with one of the most legendary performers of all time, and you had about 9 botches in that match, but nobody wants to talk about it because you had 3 botches in a Goldberg-Taker match.
Yeah, and real quick, all the backlash that people have been giving this match, I just didn't agree with it. Like, people were so, crapping on the...
Matt Riddle.
Yeah. I was really disappointed because I think for everything that was involved with the key, them going on last, then what time was it over there? Like, I'm sure it had to be super late.
It was almost midnight.
I was going to say, at one point, I remember them saying something about it being
almost midnight.
I was pleased with the match. It was just sad how it took a turn.
But you know what?
It was actually starting off really well.
Yeah, the show itself wasn't bad. I can't say that I was disappointed in the show because if anybody listened to this show or everything that we've talked about, I didn't expect much from the show itself, from the entire show.
No, but I will say you were wrong about one thing.
What's that? I'm never wrong, but I may
Brock
have just not
Lesnar,
been
you
right.
said last week that Brock Lesnar was going to cash
A
in.
Mann actually called that.
Yeah.
So she called the no cash in. She called
Yeah.
she So she called that.
What does that even say?
So folks, if you see us making gestures towards the camera, it's because Nico is behind the camera, and as he's communicating using his whiteboard, that's our only way of communicating back with him. So I'm going to go ahead and put out the
he did.
disclaimer now. Do not repeat what he writes on that board. So I'm going to say that I think we've driven that match into the ground.
Yeah.
Not in a negative way. It was what it was. I would say I'd be happy with seeing those guys get an opportunity to erase that blemish off their record and go out on a better note. I would be very disappointed if that's the last match that I get to remember Goldberg and Taker from.
Well, if that is it, I've already kind of mentally prepared myself. I'm not going to remember that match. Like, I'm just going to erase that.
Just pretend like it didn't happen.
Like it never
I'm
happened.
going to pretend like it never. Because technically, the match that was scheduled for us to see didn't happen.
Well, that's true.
We saw Taker and Goldberg in the ring. Yes, we got that far.
But that's not who finished the match.
But that's it was like
Taker was out there calling the shots for somebody who didn't have a clue what was going on.
yeah, there was nobody on the other end.
No,
Nobody was
not
there.
at all. I'm just going to say, WWE, somebody should have stopped that match and not allowed it to conclude.
Yeah.
Without at least somebody. I mean, there is a concussion protocol for them. Goldberg, I believe, was diagnosed with a concussion after the event.
Right. Yeah,
So
that was probably the
you let
easiest
him-
concussion diagnosis ever.
And so it also reminds me of WrestleMania 30, which is the match none of us in this room like to talk about. It was when the streak ended. But that match, when Taker was on the receiving end of the concussion, and at the end of the match, you could see him, and you could see same look that Goldberg had. It was, I'm here. I mean, Taker even said after that match he didn't even remember it.
Yeah. Because he collapsed.
He doesn't even
As soon as
remember.
he went through the curtain that night, he collapsed.
Cheap pop. So
we do that a lot.
So what was the best match? Smokey Z, what was your what do you think was the best match of the night?
Triple H and Randy.
Okay. A Mann?
I'm going Dolph.
Dolph Kofi. Double K?
I thought, for me, I'm agreeing with Smokey over here. But I really enjoyed the Dolph Kofi match, too, though.
Which surprised me because
Nico says Triple H Randy, too.
That's a match that we've seen how many times?
So, to me, that was a testament of two of the most artistic performers of their generations still proving that it doesn't matter how old you are or how old the feud is, you can still go tell that story in the ring and put on a great show.
Ring psychology was just effortless. Like they made it look so easy to have a 25-minute match.
I think if Hunter wins that, though, it kills it.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, sure. I mean, Hunter doesn't. Oh, and that's like
Randy doesn't need to win anymore.
Yeah, but you guys talked about this last week on the show of did Goldberg or Taker need the win or the loss? Well, no, it doesn't really matter. Hunter has now put himself in that category. It doesn't matter whether he wins or loses. He doesn't do this because he's building a career anymore. He does this for the enjoyment of the fans.
Right. That's
why he does it. So, Hunter, Randy, I'm going to side with you. I think that was the best match of the night. With Kofi and Dolph, I actually thought that match didn't live up to what I thought it was going to live up to.
No, I honestly thought Lesnar was going to end up involved in that. You
and I were on the same page with that.
Yeah, no, we were. And it was the second best match of the night. But one thing that Nico and I had talked about, we were texting back and forth watching the show. No, other than possibly Kofi Ziggler, nothing about that show furthered anything.
No. Well, you guys touched a little bit on that last week in the show about how it didn't really. It was a feel-good show, as you said. It didn't further anything. Although I'm not sure what they're doing with Shane McMahon now. We're going to talk about him a little bit later on. But it's just I'm very, very. I'm going to say that I don't think that the Dolph Kofi match really produced the excitement that I expect. It was a good match, but I don't think it lived up to the hype that I was expecting for Dolph Ziggler's return match.
This was just like them kind of feeling each other out because the majority of these matches were getting a rematch at Stomping Ground. So I think it was just like a little feel-good match for them just to hang out. Mesh. And like we all said, we knew Dolph was going to win, so it was just like a go-through-the-motions match, which was still very good. But I think
it was a go-through-the-motion show, which is what I meant earlier when I said I wasn't really disappointed by the show itself because I didn't really expect a whole lot out of the show.
No, I mean, I don't think anybody had high expectations. I'm sure that the folks over on that side of the world loved it.
Absolutely.
They don't get that they don't get that opportunity, so, that was really cool to see how much the fans were into it.
Did you see the fan that did the rest in peace thing?
I did.
Oh.
He was really involved. He was into that moment. Right
yes,
there.
he was. And the voice and all, like voice, eyes, everything. Mm-hmm. But the entire excitement of the night was captivated in one moment. And that was the moment that the final participant of the 50-man battle royal was thrown over the top rope, and Mansoor, who is a Saudi Arabian native, was the victor in that battle royal. You could tell, if you go back and watch the video, that right when it's him and Elias going back and forth in the super kick spots and they're battling and it's the last moment, you can start to see the fans coming in from the stands.
Yeah, right.
Like they're going to storm the ring because they were realizing this is going to happen.
Yeah. This
is going to happen. And so nobody, myself included, would have ever thought that that was your victor in the Battle Royal. He's at one. Let's just mention the fact that, what's his brand? he's a member of NXT.
Right. True.
So, great nod to Hunter.
And real quick, did y'all hear them chanting NXT during
Oh, yeah.
Triple H and Ring?
Well, he had NXT on his vest that he was wearing.
Yeah.
It was cool to hear them chant it, just to think, like, man, he's never there.
It's
Well, NXT is, it's the best thing they have going.
Oh, for sure.
so, and we're going to talk a little bit about NXT to wrap up the last couple pieces here on the Super Showdown. So, we talked about Taker's look on his face after the match. That match was over. But apparently that was the general feeling of most of the superstars backstage, was that they were not happy with that show. There was several talents that were quoted as saying that they felt like they wasted the 13-hour flight to spend 5 minutes in the ring. So,
What did they expect?
agreed. It's their job.
And I'm sure they got a nice little payday for going over.
Well, but
I'm sure they all wish they would have had a lot.
They didn't get a Goldberg payday. They didn't get a Taker payday.
Not at all.
Expected it though. Like,
Well, have you met modern society, A Mann?
It's a whole It's a whole gimme thing.
sense. Like, you're not Undertaker. There's one Undertaker. Obviously, he's in the main event. He's gonna get paid what?
A
Probably
lot more than what they are.
Yeah, he made over
Yeah.
a million.
So
1.3, I think, is what he got.
as he should.
So, and I think Goldberg. There's different figures out there. It's been as high as 2 that he got. 2.
I heard 2, yeah.
Yeah, that he got 2 to go over there. So, but to bring him out of retirement,
Right.
to go do it, Taker's still not retired somehow, but the biggest thing that I think for me is I don't know how many times they can do this in a year and not burn the talent out. That's a long flight for a long show to turn around and do the turn and burn, come right back to the United States, and have to put on a show within the next day. So, now, Double K, you want to touch on the last topic so I can get you off of your word battle over there? So, the last topic for Super Showdown there?
Yeah, we talked last week about 3 female performers making the trip over there. Well, the Saudi government decided that they still did not want the female performers on the show and stated that they had never given their approval for that.
Yeah, so disappointing again. There's some rumors out there that they were very unhappy about Renee Young even being on commentary.
Yeah.
Did you notice how covered she was?
Oh, yeah, I did. Like, she full turtleneck, jacket. Yeah.
So, and can you imagine the heat that she was enduring?
I mean, they were constantly saying how hot it was.
Well, I
and
mean,
how bad
Graves
they
was
were
talking
sweating.
about every time the camera would hit Corey, he was shedding some article of clothing.
So there was a fan that actually took some video of every time that the camera would go away from the announcers, Corey would take his coat off, and then when he knew they were going back on camera, he'd put the coat back on. So
That had to be a pain in the
for sure.
you know what.
well, but just again, imagine. So we always like to talk about their performers, but those guys go through the same stuff. They're sitting out there in the heat, can't move, and they're wearing
you're
full
stuck.
suits.
You can't get. Yeah, you're done. You don't.
Right.
There is no intermission. There's no break.
So, that's going to kind of wrap up our discussion of Super Showdown. But we're going to come back to that next topic, and we're going to move down to talk about this week's Raw and SmackDown. So, A Mann, I'm going to let you take the lead on those 2 shows and give us your thoughts of how they turned out.
Raw and SmackDown?
Yes, Raw and SmackDown.
I think I'd go back to what I said last week. The highlight of Raw being Firefly Funhouse. It's what I look forward to the most every Monday. And real quick, the feeling that I get watching SmackDown is so different compared to Raw. I feel like Raw is kind of like a chore, and like once I know it's 8 o'clock on Monday, I'm like, all right, next 3 hours, here we go. Waiting for that 10 o'clock, 10:30 time frame so I can finally see the Firefly Funhouse and then move on with the rest of my night. SmackDown comes on at 8. I'm like, all right, cool, good show. It's gonna be wrestling heavy, hopefully. And then next thing you know, it's over because it's 2 hours.
Right.
It's crazy. I don't know if I'm just weird or the only one who feels that way, but knowing you're going in for a 2-hour show compared to a 3-hour show alone is just makes such a big difference because I enjoy the show better. Like Shane McMahon, Roman Reigns. Like I enjoy seeing all that nonsense more on SmackDown for whatever reason than when I see it on Raw.
Well, right now I
Because
don't
it's
enjoy
more
seeing
wrestling.
That, right? Yeah, I don't enjoy seeing the Shane and Roman nonsense at all. Period. Because what does it do?
Nothing.
We didn't even mention Shane going over.
Well, I've got some insight into that we're going to talk about a little bit later on.
He's got
So-
that Tommy T intel that we're going to get here in just a little bit.
That's right. I got to save some secrets. I can't tell you everything.
But yeah, I mean, they were fun shows. I didn't think anything too crazy happened. It was just like a continuance to League to Stomping Ground, which is just extending the storylines that we already saw from last week, Bill's first showdown.
So, is it just me, or can you tell that for that last hour from 10 to 11, you can start to see little subtle changes that WWE is making?
Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
can't.
Where you can tell the content's getting a little bit more edgier. So you think about the Firefly Funhouse. He smashed a rabbit with a hammer
Right.
and then mentioned blending it into a jam.
Right.
Fair.
I don't know that would have happened 5 months ago on Monday Night Raw because kids...
No.
I mean, let's face it, their demographic that has made them the global powerhouse that they are is children.
Right.
That's not a child segment.
No, when I was watching it, it kind of threw me off for a little bit because we've been so used to the whole child.
And so,
Acting there,
but
and
it's
that's-
so
it's like-
relieving
Yeah.
to see them pulling that veil back a little bit and saying, you know what, we still got it. We've got to figure out how we're going to do it, but we've still got it.
And see, that's the thing. They do still have it. I mean, the talent's there. It's all there. Just let's go. Come on. Take the lid off.
Well, part of it, too, though, is I think that you have to figure out... So, Velveteen Dream put out an interesting tweet this week.
Treat.
They do it
treat.
in Memphis, Michigan.
It was... He put out an interesting tweet this week where he was defending Vince McMahon.
Okay.
Because Vince has taken so many hits over the quality of WWE programming. And I don't remember exactly what Velveteen said. Nico, can you look that up for us?
But did y'all see the slideshow that he
Yeah.
did on Instagram? Was it maybe yesterday or today?
But the tweet that he put out, this was probably 3 or 4, this came out before the slideshow did, was he commented on somebody else bashing Vince McMahon. It was time for him to retire, all these things. And he said, man, it sucks when performers don't do well. So, you know, to me, that was him trying to say, like, you guys are putting a whole lot of this on Vince McMahon, and I hadn't even thought about it. I'm going to be honest, I hadn't even thought about it. But what do you do if you're Vince and you're thinking about that attitude, or even Hunter, and you're thinking about that Attitude Era style,
Yeah.
but you're looking at who you have,
You don't have.
and
a
you're
lot of
going, well, who the hell do I have that can go do that? And the bottom line of it is, and again,
Not
probably
very
gonna be,
many.
right? And this is probably going to be the unpopular opinion, but we're kind of known for that now, as putting out the unpopular opinions.
Somebody's got to do it.
Screw it. So, you know, I'm okay with being controversial,
Right.
but the reality of it is when you're trying to produce a product, but you don't have the right tools to be able to do it. He cleared his Twitter. Wow.
Huh.
Well, that's interesting.
What about Instagram?
So, folks, we're trying to get the information. Nico's back there working real hard. But, you know, when Velveteen said that, I just started thinking, and I started thinking about some of the performers. And I'm doing my best to find Rock, Austin, Cena.
Well, first of all, I don't think you're going to be able to recreate a Rock.
No,
Austin Cena.
I'm not. That's not my point. My point is not recreating them. It's who do they have that has the charisma and the ability to take that role. So then I started thinking about what John Cena said. When John said, it's not going to be just one guy that's going to carry the company anymore. Because they don't have anybody. They tried their damnedest for 5 years to make Roman Reigns that guy, and it failed.
Well, I was going to say, who
And if
they
it-
have as a Rock, Austin, Cena. One's gone, but what they had is, if we're looking for three, they had it in Dean, Roman, and Seth.
Well, they did, but I had a long. I couldn't talk last week, so I had a lot of time to think. But one of the things that
That's a first.
I thought about.
At least he's not drooling this week.
No drooling. But one of the things I thought about that I had never thought about before was that we've talked about the Roman Reigns and how he finally got over, and then I realized that the only reason why Roman Reigns is even in the position he's in right now is he has to look back to 2 different WrestleManias and say thank you, Brock Lesnar, because if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns would have never gotten to be where he is. It was only because of the hatred and the power that WWE created against Lesnar that allowed Roman to get that spot.
Yeah.
You take Brock out of that equation, Roman never gets to where he is. Because who are you going to put him against? Were you going to see a Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns feud? Well, we saw that.
Yeah, no,
Were you going to see a Seth Rollins Roman Reigns feud? Well, you saw that.
You know what I kind of miss, though? I said this again to Nico the other day while we were watching the show. I miss a heel Strowman. I looking back, thinking about the Roman feud with Braun Strowman, the Roman Strowman feud.
Yes.
Remember that?
I do.
That actually wasn't a bad feud. They kind of did it back then like they do everything else, and they did it until it was just absolutely boring to see.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, because it was just over and over and over and over and over. But I miss a heel Strowman, and I enjoyed that feud when I really look back on it.
And I think they had a chance to create another top star with Braun Strowman when he was competing with Brock Lesnar. I think he should have beat Lesnar for the title back then.
Yes.
I feel like that would have changed even things up to this day. Like, I feel like Strowman is now, like, he's a phenomenal athlete for his size, and he's entertaining to watch, but I feel like
He had some issues back then, though.
Yeah, he did.
well,
When you don't show up to work on time, and you're not a Brock Lesnar, you're not an Austin, you're not a Taker, you're not a Goldberg.
but how long are you going to punish him?
You were
How
one
long
step
are you
up at
gonna-
that time from a Rosebud. Yeah, well, he was.
That might be the worst thing anybody's ever said about Braun Strowman.
Well, hey,
That was bad.
if somebody's going to say the worst thing about somebody, it might as well come from this group.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
So there's a true testament. We know from our other show, our other ventures, the things that we're doing outside of this program, that there is a real testament to paying your dues. And when you've only been around 2 years and you're already thinking that you can show up 20 minutes before the show goes on air,
Yeah,
that's a problem.
for sure.
And Vince McMahon is not the guy that's going to let you do that and get away with it. Now, I agree with you. How long are you going to punish him? But right now, it's not a matter of how long you're going to punish him, because I could turn to you and say the same thing of, well, how long are you going to punish Dolph Ziggler for getting injured every time he has a championship title, and that's why you won't put him back in the
I mean,
picture.
it goes all the way back
I
to.
disagree with that as well. I think
So
Yeah, but
Well,
how
but-
many years did they punish Hunter
well,
for the click?
that's
breaking
my
kayfabe
point.
at Madison Square Garden.
That's my point, is that it's not about the punishment. There's so much about what they do in WWE, if you follow the creative side and the storyline side, that it only takes you to screw up one story before the next 7 are written.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of time for that stuff to come full cycle, and then you're not the person you were. Dolph Ziggler is probably the only one that has maintained his in-ring ability. The Miz has gotten better and better as time has gone
He
on.
has.
The Miz we have now is not the Miz we had coming out of Tough Enough.
Well, and he's also not buried right now. He's getting that spotlight. He's getting.
So he's
the
getting
opportunity.
a spotlight.
Well, he's
though.
not getting the.
It would be fair to say that Strowman is getting a spotlight. It's just not the one people want him to have.
Well, I think in order for Strowman to get the
He's
spotlight,
not shaving backs or offering Uzi hot.
right.
So
But I personally think he needs to go There needs to be a heel turn for Braun in there.
So thanks to Nico, I actually have the official statement
Hey!
from Velveteen. It came from his Instagram, and so this is what it said. So it was the slideshow that they posted today. Have you guys seen?
I have not been
The
on
slideshow?
social media at all today.
So the first slide said, "Is it fair to critique Vince?" I mean, after all, WWE is a form of entertainment. You do know WWE is a TV show. George Lucas directed Star Wars. Vince McMahon directs Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live, and he's directed everything else that we've seen from the WWE for the last 40 years. So just think about that for a moment. Vince can write all day. It's your favorites that have to make it entertaining.
It's true. The coach doesn't run the play.
Star Wars was great too in the 90s. The new ones suck because the actors suck. Point is, when TV sucks, it's because the actors and entertainers and stuntmen failed to entertain you. So that begs the question of how much of our unhappiness with WWE is not because the stories aren't good, it's because your performers aren't buying into them and they don't care. Say they go. Now, I'm not saying everything WWE, their storylines are clearly not what they used to be. But how much of this do we know is backstage where you've got a performer that's going, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
I'm sure there's a lot of them that will sit there and say, yeah, I don't feel like doing that.
So then what do you do if you're Vince? If you've got your top performers doing it, you can't tell the younger ones they can't do it because now you're getting into a battle of favoritism and
Sure.
all the other, which, let's be real, it's still a publicly traded company, so they are still subject to following proper HR guidelines and protecting certain things. So otherwise they'd be in court every day over contract disputes.
Right.
But then I feel like he needs, if a Dean Ambrose goes up to him and says, hey, I don't want to do this, then he should be like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Or how do you see, these are the bullet points that we need to hit. How do you think we should get there? And then collaborate on it.
So my only pushback to that,
And I
which...
know it's illogical because you have so many people.
Well, that's not my pushback,
But-
though. Like, we've talked about this with AEW. My fear with AEW is the same thing that we saw happen with WCW, and we've actually seen it time and time again. It happened with ECW.
The wrestlers
When
taking
you
over.
let the wrestlers make the decisions, everything goes downhill.
Because AEW won't even have writers, right?
No.
That's what they said. So
Right.
just producers.
Which is weird. I know we're off topic, but they do have a weekly show upcoming.
Blows my mind that you're going to let these performers tell the story in the ring, but you're going to put on a weekly episodic program
With no
storylines.
scripting or storyline.
So how are you going to do that? So I think that's where you've said before, there's still something that has to be proved by AEW.
Absolutely.
We know that the in-ring work is there. Their passion and drive for what they do is there. And we do have a point in the wrestling world right now where putting a Moxley against an Omega, which has been officially announced for All Out, that when that happens, you don't need a story. It's
Which is amazing to think about.
right. So it's just you've got two great performers that are going to go in the ring.
But how long does that get you through? How
I don't think it does.
That's how you get.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How often are you going to be able to take a great performer, and put them together, and another one, and do it, and repeat?
This is where some of the questions have to come in, because then you look at, so I used this analogy earlier today, was a Moxley Omega match. We would have had to wait till next April to see that in WWE,
Yeah.
because they would have saved it.
Yeah.
That would have been right. That would have been their WrestleMania moment.
That's a WrestleMania quality moment.
Yep.
And so I have the same concern of you're burning through so many of these. The Dustin Cody, you could have built a feud around that for 6 months.
Yeah. Now it's over.
And then they're
Yep.
already tagging.
Right.
Right. I was going to say that's what I meant when I said it's over. Now there's not even a rematch coming.
No, I mean
It was
Now
just the
they're
one and
tagging.
done.
it's just I'm interested to see where they go with it. And we're not going to know. We could speculate about it all day, but we're not going to know where.
Well, that's
they're
what we're
gonna go
supposed to
with
do.
it.
We'll just have to wait and find out.
That's right. So let's talk about stomping grounds for a second. So, how are you guys feeling about the card so far? Don't all answer at once.
No, you know how I feel about Baron Corbin.
To be honest, I'm not extremely thrilled.
I'm not excited to see Seth and Baron Corbin. I would watch Baron Corbin before I watch Sammy, but I'm just not excited about that.
So I'm going to throw a wrench into that one because I think it's.
I'll walk out.
I think it's what's going to happen. So what happened to Sammy the last time he was involved in a high-profile match?
I won't talk about it.
What happened? What match was he supposed to be in that he couldn't get in?
Was it the one in?
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. Who took his place?
Brock.
Oh.
So Sammy gets picked as the special guest referee, doesn't get to be the special guest referee. Your special guest referee becomes
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
I'm okay with that.
You'll spend the entire match wondering, does he cash in?
That would be cool.
And then I'd almost put money on he still doesn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he's going to hold on to that thing for as long as you did.
He would.
And probably not.
There's still so
Cash
much
in for a while.
bitterness that's involved with that.
I mean, why should he cash in immediately? You walk around, always keeping it.
Yeah, no.
And it's crazy because he'll actually need to cash in, whereas I didn't have to. So.
I turned around.
I'm so glad I put them on different sides.
I
of the
have
table.
to share this with the group. I turned around in my living room the other day. Miles has one of his little drawing briefcase things out.
Mm-hmm.
He has it stuck to his ear, going.
Well, I had told Smokey I really did want the Brock Party T-shirt. I really wanted one of those just because I thought the T-shirt was cool.
Yeah.
Brock Party, like I was
Yeah.
like, that's ingenious.
It is.
Just like the Suplex City T-shirts that him and Paul came up with.
Yep.
I think how you fix WWE's creative is you turn it over to Paul Heyman and let him
Correct.
run it.
100% on board with that.
Because he ran SmackDown for the longest time when you had the whole JBL and Undertaker fuse. That was some of the best years of SmackDown.
Yeah.
For sure.
Before we got to SmackDown Live, but those were some of the best years of SmackDown television was when Heyman was running that show. So,
I agree.
So the Baron Corbin Seth Rollins match again. I think this is a filler. They're going to drag this Brock Lesnar thing out as long as they can. However, I just want to touch on one thing because you guys talked about it last week and I couldn't interject and it was killing me.
Glad you made it through.
When you were talking about A Mann specifically talked about Brock who doesn't show up. We have now seen Brock Lesnar more since WrestleMania than we saw him in the last 6 months of 2018.
Now let's compete on Raw just once.
Well, he doesn't have to. You want to know
I'm
why?
just saying it would be cool.
He comes as a heavy price tag. So you guys do know he's still paid per appearance.
Oh, yeah.
That's his new deal.
Absolutely.
And he's showing up every week.
3 years. He gets like $680,000 just to show up. He gets $1.2 million to wrestle. So, again, the same thing you said last week, same thing we've talked about as a group before. Whenever people complain about that, I go back to Booker T's segment of when people were complaining about Lesnar, and Booker T said, when the guys like Reigns, Rollins, and Ambrose can put the asses in seats that Brock Lesnar does, WWE won't need him anymore.
Right.
But he does have an instant attraction.
He
The
does.
same way Ronda Rousey did when you put her name and his name on a marquee.
Yep.
Because guess what? He's still something to watch. When they call him the Beast, there's nobody else in there that's throwing people around. There's nobody else that's throwing people around like Brock Lesnar does. Even Strowman does it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's...
So, how about Kingston, Ziggler, Steel Cage?
I'm going to skip over that really quick.
Okay.
I think the best match on the card is going to be Lacey and Becky.
Me too.
I agree.
Whoa, did we... You agree?
I agree.
Whoa, unanimous. That's a wrap, folks.
Step back.
We're going to end it on that.
Done. I'm out. I'm going home. Everybody be careful.
Yeah, drive safe.
Something is not right here.
The
I'm not sure how that feels.
I know.
I am a firm believer.
I don't think we've all ever agreed on something.
Nope, that's a first.
I am
That's
a
first.
firm believer that the Lacey Evans Becky Lynch match is going to steal the show. There was some video that got put online after Raw this week. There was a dark spot because they were in Bayley's hometown, where there's no other way to put it. Lacey Evans no-sold a Bayley to belly.
Oh yeah, she was like dead weight.
Yeah, she was dead weight. And people automatically were faulting Lacey Evans for that. But
She did it on purpose.
well, and there's so much that goes into that. Like the shows we've seen, if there's a miscommunication between two of the performers, which she should have known that was what was coming because it was Bayley's spot. She grabbed her. I mean, that should have been. But how do you know that Bayley didn't pick her up before she ever had a chance to actually
Got her
give
feet off the ground.
the boost?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, WWE fans are way too critical now.
Because it's a cool thing to do.
Because you can go back, and I would challenge anybody that listens or watches to this broadcast to go back and watch Monday Night Raw from the 90s, early 90s, mid-90s, and tell me that you didn't see a botch in a Mick Foley match.
Well, you never knew because he was falling off of
Tell me you didn't see a
tables
botch
and ring posts. And,
in a Stone Cold Rock match, because they were there. Now, those guys just did a better job of playing off of it then.
Right.
But nowadays, it's kind of like the whole kayfabe thing is dead, so, which it's really not. It's just Vince has found a way to blur the lines enough between them.
and people think they know more now.
Because of
Correct.
the internet.
Right.
The internet is a lot better now than it was
Well,
then.
yes, but we already know
How do you know? You couldn't even use the internet then.
he was still daddy's little squirt. So, when the... So, when...
You're lucky we got a camera.
So I'm holding it up there. You'll never forget it.
But the reality of it is that we found out, like we've talked before on our show, that Vince learned several years ago about the dirt sheets and the folks that were putting the news out there and spreading the information before WWE could do it. Well, as soon as that happened and Vince realized that it was, oh, well, perfect. We're going to use it against him. Because we're going to start leaking information out because we want you to go in a certain direction. And so, like, people, a lot of people don't realize this, but, like, a lot of the tweets that come out, even the ones that are critical of WWE by WWE stars, do you really think that Vince McMahon would let them keep their job if he didn't say, oh, yeah, you can post that? I mean, you're talking about a guy who's gone to bat with the government on 3 different occasions and won every single time. Is he really going to let a superstar ruin his job as the owner of that company?
No.
Absolutely not.
So they spoon feed so much of this stuff, and you know, we've talked about the time before of he spent 3 years building a Brock Lesnar story that got people to hate Lesnar, love Reigns, because when he first started that story, they hated the fact that Roman Reigns was being framed as the guy.
The guy.
Vince spent 3 years getting everybody to do exactly what he wanted them to do.
And then they did it.
And so that man gets to sit back and go, what else you want from me? Mm-hmm. So I do think the Lacey Evans match takes the lead. There's far better quality in the women's matches now than what we used to get.
Yeah.
I am going to say that I think this is where Lynch drops the title to Evans. I know how that makes you feel over there, A Mann, but I really think that this is that point, and here's why. Becky doesn't need it. She doesn't need it. Her career now is cemented, and that's my concern for her. Mm-hmm. You said it last week, and I never even thought about it till you said it when you were like, well, what else is there? What else is there for her to do? And that's the real answer. There's nothing left.
And that's what's so sad. Like,
Well, that's the same.
She defeated Ronda. Well, she didn't pin Ronda Rousey, but
Did he count 3?
yes.
Okay.
So, but she, like, what else can she do? Until you bring up more people, there isn't anything left for her to do.
And as you're saying that, I hate to admit it, but I think you're right, because Lacey, for more than one reason, but Lacey would have more opponents than Becky would. Because after she...
There's no
let's say-
storyline left.
Right.
Right,
Let's
no.
say Becky beats Lacey. Who does she fight now on Raw? Because Nia Jax is still out. With,
Yeah.
What, 2 knee injuries?
Yep.
So.
And Alexa Bliss, we've seen that before.
And Alexa's facing Bailey for the SmackDown Women's title.
So does Alexa win SmackDown's women's title and go to SmackDown?
No.
Well, because she's a Raw superstar, that
Doesn't
would
matter.
be the,
She's a wild card.
that would be the first time that a wild card performer won the other show's title. So I don't know what would happen. I don't know how they're going to spin
Well,
that.
let's be real. There really isn't a brand split anymore.
Not anymore, no,
You
it's
just
dead.
have two
It's
different
dead.
sets of titles that are on two different shows. That's really the only time I think this really changes is when SmackDown goes to Fox.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
October.
For that now, right?
Yes.
And a new logo.
Fourth, maybe?
So, and they got a new logo. Yeah, they got a new logo. I'll see if I can pull it up on one of our lovely sponsored tablets.
Mine's still dead.
You will get your own, A Mann. The other three of us have them now. But they did get a new logo that was specifically designed for their move to Fox, which I think furthers the point of WWE is going to really provide two different products based off of, because the folks on Fox aren't going to want the same product that USA is getting. They're not going to want that. They're going to want a different product. So, it's just going to be 10/4. So October 4th is the go live date for SmackDown on Fox. Thank you, Nico. But the question that I have to ask about going back to the card for Stomping Grounds is, anybody else really excited to see Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre again?
No.
I'm just going to say it's like we've got Super Showdown twice in the same month.
Oh, yeah. My
Like,
only
it just...
concern-
Don't really care.
Are we going to watch it? Yes. Am I overly excited to see it? No.
But my concern for this match is, okay, Roman, do we think Roman is actually going to lose twice in a row at a pay-per-view? And if not, then does Drew take the loss? And then that means Drew can't beat Roman.
Right, because he lost
Drew
him.
lost at
Yeah.
Mania, so it's just like, at what point?
New SmackDown on Fox logo.
That's all right.
I feel like the face pieces there are going to be extremely interchangeable between now and then. I
Potentially.
don't think those are going to be the name or the names that are going to carry that show.
No.
I'll give you who was on there. It was Kofi, Roman, and Charlotte and Bailey. Take Bailey off. I don't think she's going to be. She's not going to carry that show.
And even if she's the champion,
Oh well, I don't think Charlotte carries that show.
I think Shayna Baszler carries that
No.
show.
Ooh.
You mean they're debuting in October, not right now.
Yeah, I think Shayna Baszler carries that show.
Oh, I love that.
Shayna would do well. She would do better on SmackDown, I believe, than Raw.
Especially once it switches networks.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works, though, because Fox has been very vocal about wanting the bigger names on their program because they spent a lot of money to get WWE programming.
Right. Fair.
$430 million to get WWE programming.
That's a lot of money.
So that gives you a lot of bargaining power
Yes.
when you pay that much for something. So it's going to be very interesting to see, because what happens, just hear me out, when Fox says, I don't want our performers on that company's show because it's a competing network.
I'm willing to bet those contingency plans are already in place.
Probably.
And
That's why I think that
if
the
it's
wild
that
card
big of a
rule
deal,
goes
there
away.
has to be.
I think that
Yeah.
WWE uses the wild card rule, which I literally had that epiphany as I'm sitting here having this conversation. That
You
I think,
okay? Does it hurt?
yeah, no, I'm good. Appreciate it though. Yeah, I'm good.
You handled it very well.
I try.
Saw his head start sweating from the
Me
top.
too.
She didn't
Why?
handle it very well. That's why she changed. But when 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 that show goes live on Fox, I don't think there's a way for you to have the same characters on two different shows. But you use the wild card rule to build the attention.
Yeah.
So you build all this attraction because you've got stars moving from both shows.
And I think it's like a trial period for them as well. The wild card gives them an opportunity to see who meshes well.
Yeah,
with others.
sure.
Absolutely.
It's a nice little-
But I think it's more
There's
just
not that many different people doing the wild card thing, so you're not
They're
really.
tr-
You're
well,
not.
so
seeing
that's
that.
my grievance with it.
You're not
is
really
You're
seeing
seeing
that.
the same 3 and 4 people move back and forth each week.
I think it right now is just giving them something to do until
Yeah,
that.
real quick
that
though,
move.
if I have to see Lars in a freaking Lucha House Party one more time,
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that pinata bashing party is over.
God, Jesus.
I mean, it's just that's what it's like watching. It's like watching a big teenager in a party bashing pinatas. I mean,
Yeah,
he throws them around like toys.
I mean, it's again.
So I get what you're doing,
I don't.
but
It's pointless.
let's see Lars Sutherland,
I do,
Braun
but I don't.
Strowman. Lars Sutherland. That's his brother. So
He lives in. You know where he lives, right?
yeah, I know where he lives.
He lives in Mint, Michigan.
That's right. So, what you have to
Eats his cereal out of a Begamo.
yes, whenever you see him in the ring, like I'm really over the squash matches.
No, yeah. I mean,
All of them. I'm over them. It's different when you bring a new performer in, like you mentioned last week, Shayna Baszler coming up, and then you feed her squash matches for a couple of weeks. I could get on board with that. But once you start putting them in pay-per-views, so
Yeah.
Super Showdown, really?
Yeah.
Lars Sullivan and Lucha House
It was-
Party.
it was bad.
And then what did you do? You turned around and did it again on Monday Night Raw.
Yep, not good. Well, and they had
It's
already
pretty
done
much
it.
making that
what?
an intermission match.
They'd already had it twice. Technically, not an official match, but they've already had it twice before
Yeah.
Super Showdown.
I mean, it just I'm over it. If you don't have anything else better for him to do, then just don't send him out there.
That's fair.
But then who else does he fight on SmackDown? I'm not saying that I want to see him. Like, against
Anybody,
Yeah, but-
just Roman, do something.
Who would you
Put
you don't
him
want to go up to Cody
In
right now.
a match.
Yeah,
A
The
legitimate
Lucha
match.
House Party. Because I don't think that legitimizes him. I think they're making him look like a joke.
It doesn't.
how much of that though? We were kind of talking about punishments earlier. He had a rough go.
But he had a very different situation going
I
on
agree.
that WWE was well aware of.
I agree. But
So
you just don't know.
You don't. We don't know how much of this is politics backstage. You don't know. But I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am. Give him a real match. And I'm wondering if what they're doing is they're building this until there's going to be somebody that's going to come out that's going to say, all right, why don't you pick on somebody your own
Well,
size?
that can only be one person.
It could be a couple people.
If they say your own size, I mean,
It's either Lashley or Strowman. I mean, realistically. Or Brock.
Nah, they
Which-
won't do that.
That would be a joke because I hate to tell you, but even at Lars Sullivan's size, Brock would still throw him around.
I know. I just love to see it.
So, and that would be a whole lot of white man. Like white. Both those guys are pretty pasty fellas. Although
Yes.
Brock's looking a little bit more tan
Yeah.
than he actually looks like he's enjoying what he's doing.
For the
which
first
is
for the first time in a while.
I
Yeah.
love him having the briefcase because I feel like he wants to be there.
He's-
having a blast with the stupid of all things. Like imagine.
Well,
Brock
again,
having a
the
blast
Brock
with
party,
the
the Brock party T-shirts. I love it.
So
You
he's
know why?
getting to
It's
do
'cause-
something new for the first
Right.
time in.
Right.
It's because he's had the belt. He's had the belt, so it's nothing new to him.
Well, right, and let's face it, he's another one of those guys who has nothing to prove.
Exactly. So
Brock Lesnar
so-
has a list of accolades that is unmatched by any WWE superstar in history. Period. There's not a question. There's not an asterisk. There's nothing. He is the most decorated champion in the history of the WWE.
Fair.
So, anyways, we got so far away from our stomping ground conversation.
Not to mention, he
Well,
did,
I mean,
he
that
did
shows
beat the
you-
dude with his own leg, so.
He did
That
beat a
shows you
dude
how
with his own
interested
leg.
we are in that pay-per-view.
That's fair. So, I'm going to move on to the next topic, which I found to be very, very interesting today when I came across it. And the the writing team for NXT has said to be very, very excited and pleased about the card that they're putting together for the next TakeOver show.
Yeah.
They were quoted as saying that this will be the best TakeOver to date. And the current plan, so what day does AEW do their shows?
Saturdays.
What day does NXT run their shows?
Saturdays.
Saturdays.
I'm going to need you to hit your
So the rumor right now is that Hunter is planning on running the next NXT TakeOver to compete against AEW's All Out.
Ooh.
Who's making the first move now?
Ooh. Well, and I can see it happening, and here's why. I immediately think back to Cody and the Throne.
Yeah.
And this is, so WWE let TNA step up and challenge them. AEW made a statement with Double or Nothing. And WWE, we've talked about it, has done nothing to retaliate.
No, that's true.
So, well, no, not necessarily, because AEW still has something to prove. But I think this would be, if it happens, because it's not solidified, they haven't announced the date yet. But if it happens, and WWE announces that NXT TakeOver Toronto, because that's where it will be, is on the same day as All Out, is that not Hunter stepping up to the plate and saying, "You want to play? Let's play."
He's giving
Because for Toronto, that's SummerSlam weekend.
Crotch
right?
top.
Not necessarily.
Not if they want to compete directly.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like they have to plan these things out months in
But
advance.
so think about the last TakeOver we just had.
What about-
There was not a pay-per-view that
That was a
associated
solo
with it.
event.
Well, no, but that's why I was asking because SummerSlam is going to be in Toronto, right? Because they sent out a travel package.
I believe that's what they've announced.
They
Yeah.
sent that out,
Yeah.
I think, before WrestleMania. So a lot of people keep saying that. I don't think Triple H especially is worried about AEW. I don't think he would deliberately plan to have a takeover against All Out. Because does he really want to test that right now? Especially.
I think if they do
But
test it,
then-
it has to be with NXT. Because I think their
if he's
shows.
going to, but I don't think he's really concerned. I don't think he cares about AEW. I don't think he thinks it's a joke, but I don't think he probably
Well,
thinks it's
I don't-
another WCW.
I
Maybe
don't-
better in the long
I
term.
don't know that he doesn't care, but I think you could get his opinion of that brand just by rewatching the DX Hall of Fame speech.
Well, exactly.
True.
Exactly.
Because he pretty much made a mockery of it the whole time.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, shouldn't be making a mockery of it.
So technically, didn't he fire the first shot then?
Well, no, I don't think he fired the first shot. I think that
Fired a shot at Sean.
I don't. I don't think that there was a first shot fired. One of our listeners in our last broadcast, the guy who actually commented during our broadcast, we just didn't see it, made a statement that the destroying of the throne was to show that they were there to play, that AEW was there to play. I don't know that WWE will respond in any kind of recognized way. I think their lack of response says more than them responding, because it's basically them going, well, you know what, we've been there, we've done that. Pretty sure you can ask Chris Jericho how that turned out. While you're at it, ask your new producer, Dean Malenko, how that turned out. Hey, while you're at it, ask Cody who his dad was working for when that happened. So there's a lot of different people there.
Or Dustin. You can ask Dustin how that went.
I didn't see, Nico, what you were trying to show me. Okay.
It's a score update.
It is a score update. There are vested interests here for the outcome of the game. So,
To answer your question, non-wrestling related,
Yeah.
Steph has shot about 15 threes at this point and probably made 4.
that's probably true. However, you shouldn't be overly concerned with how Steph's looking. I'm pretty sure you guys are playing for the same team.
Good
So,
God.
so the reality of the reality of sweet baby Jesus. The reality of the entire AEW situation is that TNA managed to go head to head with WWE for about 6 months before it pretty much took their company bankrupt. You're not going to have that problem with AEW because Tony Khan can afford to
He's not
fund
going
the
bankrupt.
entire company
Just
with.
hearing him talk. Have y'all listened to any interviews he's
Yeah.
done? He just seems like a really cool dude.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I would love to have just like a basic conversation.
Yeah.
Because he seems like he would love to talk to you about wrestling.
Sure.
There was just a completely different vibe. I was like,
So there are some interesting interviews out there that if you go watch them about the talent with it, he actually was the one that sat in the gorilla position at AEW's Double or Nothing show, and they talked about like him basically running the production side of it and timing it and keeping up with everything, and they were talking about how it seemed like he has done this forever when that was his first time.
Right.
So Curry 1 for 2. And that's not too bad. That's not 3, what we say, 6 for 14.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
What about Thompson?
So let's, we've talked about the new logo for Fox. We've talked about TakeOver. We got a couple more WWE things here to touch on. We'll kind of run through those quickly. Speculation on who may take the title off of Kofi. So, anybody got in it? So, Smokey Z, who do you think is going to be the guy to take the title off of Kofi?
I've been thinking about that like the past couple of weeks. And to be honest with you, I don't know.
Okay. A Mann?
I guess we're assuming that he retains against Dolph.
Yeah.
Unless you think.
Well, unless you think
gonna
Dolph's the
take
guy
it.
that takes it off of him.
No, I see us getting at least another pay-per-view between them two.
Yeah. Okay.
Retains. But I don't know, because I think it would be dumb for WWE to put Roman versus Kofi.
Well, it's not a believable match, first of all. Roman should destroy him.
Right, and it's obvious who would get cheered. And
Correct.
if your goal is to still be building Roman as a babyface, then,
Well, but
in the face of the company.
but you made an interesting point last week, and again, I couldn't talk to interject, but you talked about how Roman hasn't had anything to do. He hasn't been in the belt picture. He hasn't done anything. Well, when Roman came back, he made it pretty clear to Vince McMahon that he did not want to be that guy anymore. He's okay with being in the limelight. So I don't know whether or not that would change, but he did make that clear when he came back that he was okay with not being the guy.
It'll change.
Well, I think it's going to have to change at some point.
Yeah,
Well,
it'll
that's what I'm
change.
saying. It has to change at some point. It's going to have to change. So who do you think it is?
I say Brock.
Brock takes it off of Kofi. Well, I mean, let's be real. If Brock cashes in on Kofi, you know where the belt's going.
Well, yeah.
Because it's not staying
Yeah.
with Kofi.
No.
I'm going back a little bit. I'm going to tell you who I think it's going to be, and then I'm going to give you my worst fear.
Okay.
I think Kevin Owens is going to take it.
Okay.
My worst fear is that somehow Sammy takes it.
Your fear is that Sami Zayn comes out on any program that you're watching.
Absolutely. That's a great opportunity for me to leave the living room and go get Freezy Pops.
So,
Kevin Owens, though, that's an interesting.
Kevin Owens,
I still think it's Kev. I still think it's him.
Brock. You still don't know who?
I still don't know.
Nico, what's your guess? You don't know? Okay. So
Come on, man. Wake up over there.
I'm going to tell you something that came out today that caught me completely off guard. But given the current state of WWE, the programming and the direction that this has been built, I can see this 100% happening.
Oh, God.
I told you we were going to talk about him again later on in the show.
Got it.
And that's Shane McMahon.
Oh, that's
The direction
Whoa.
that they have built him and where they are going. He's beaten top dogs. He's the best in the world.
Yeah.
So why not? He's made it very clear about his family running the company and making the choices. That storyline, if you think about it, fits directly into this continued build. 2 victories over The Miz, 1 victory over Roman Reigns. Now he has nothing to do at Stomping Grounds.
Please, God, let CM Punk come back and take the best in the world title.
Oh, I would.
What? No?
This broadcast will end,
No?
and I won't talk about any show that he's on.
That would be amazing.
No, it would not.
I would.
The guy should.
He'd be stuck behind
He can-
sound. You'd be taking over.
He can go wrestle for AEW, but he should never be allowed to step foot back in a WWE ring after what he said about that company.
On the podcast?
Yes, never. So,
But, well, that's a whole other conversation, I guess.
but what were you going to say?
Just thought I'd throw it in there.
Well, I was about to, but this is completely off topic. But why would someone like Ultimate Warrior be welcomed back, but someone like CM Punk would not be?
How long did it take, though, for Warrior to be welcome
Well,
back?
I'm not saying CM Punk's gonna be back.
How long did it take for Macho Man to be allowed back?
Well, I'm not saying.
Slightly
And I hate to tell you,
circumstance.
but CM Punk is neither of
It's
those
already
two.
been 5 years.
Well, not 5 long enough.
Well, for you.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. But I'm sure if CM Punk.
That's
came
my
back
win
on
for
Stomping
tonight.
Grounds, everyone besides you would lose their you know what.
So my issue, everybody knows my issue with him was what he did when he left the company.
We know all your issues with him.
But the
There's a
other
few.
part of it, too, was that he had, in all reality, 2 good years. That
Hey,
was
you
it.
wanted more,
It was 2 good
which
years.
is what you should want.
And he took his ball and went home because he didn't like being eliminated from the Royal Rumble.
I mean, no one has gotten home, but I wouldn't.
So,
Because I know. We should,
but it's your job. We would have to have a show just to talk
I
about
know,
that.
I know.
But anyways, that is what has been talked about. Is him being the person to defeat Kofi for the title.
I'd cry.
Because another reason why is they don't want a superstar to do it because of the feel-good story that Kofi built. So Shane's the one that can take the heat for being the guy that takes the belt off of him.
Because he helps run the company.
But it's
Yep.
not just any title. This is
This is like this
title. Like,
the
this is-
title.
Well, hold on.
I mean,
wait a minute,
hold on, wait a
Time,
minute.
time out.
Go back to when Vince took it.
That's exactly
Right.
what I was getting ready to say.
Vince did have it, yeah.
Yeah, Vince held the title about 3 different times. In fact, just the other night, I watched a match between Bobby Lashley and Vince McMahon.
when Vince was wearing the do-rag.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that was it. We were, yeah.
It's so good.
So, and I can distinctly
classic.
remember matches between Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, and Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE
Right,
Championship.
I'm not saying any of that should have happened either, but you learn from your mistakes, and that was 20
Do they?
years ago. You should.
Do they?
Or did they just recycle them?
Because
Not
we've
this.
we've talked about this before. They recycle storylines. They change the names in the background. They recycle storylines. We saw. I mean, you could go back to WrestleMania 30 when The Rock talked about the John Cena's of wrestling for hustle, loyalty, and respect. That doesn't happen with telling people to eat their vitamins or take their vitamins and drink your milk. Like, none of that happens.
Pretty sure it was Say Your Prayers.
Say your prayers. That's
Take
it.
your
You're the
vitamins.
Hogan fan in the room.
Yeah,
So Kurt did tell us to drink our milk. But same thing. That wouldn't have happened with Kurt.
Felt like a crime was just committed.
If that wouldn't have happened with Kurt without Hogan doing it. There's no Daniel Bryan rebellion, and quite frankly, as much as I'm going to vomit when I say this, there's no CM Punk rebellion without an Austin rebellion.
Pipe bomb.
That doesn't happen. Which, again, let's be real. If anybody thinks that the pipe bomb was anything other than Vince McMahon saying, "Hey, go do your thing,"
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I mean,
but
he nailed it though.
But there are
did
fans
his thing.
there are fans that will stand behind that and say, "Oh, well, he did that to rebel."
Please.
No,
You really
he
think-
he did that because that's what Vince told him he could do.
He wouldn't have stayed on TV
Right.
If-
And then
And held the title
if
for over
Vince
a
wasn't
year.
pulling the
Wait a
string.
minute, hold on. So let's go even further. And this is where the kayfabe part started to blend, was with real life when CM Punk retained his championship and then left WWE. And it's like, really?
In Chicago.
Did you really think that that's what was going on? Great match. I will give credit. I will give credit where credit is due. I've always been that way. Even if I don't like somebody, I'll give them credit for what I think they do right.
That was when John and CM Punk
John was in his
showed up.
prime. John was in his prime then, when he could have 5-star matches on a regular basis. But that's not the John we have now. But that's neither here nor there. And to be real, the CM Punk, if he were to come back, he's not going to be
Absolutely not.
the CM Punk he was.
No, I mean I agree with that.
He's not. That would be like expecting Goldberg to come back. Now Goldberg's probably the only person on the planet that left and came back the same.
True.
He didn't change.
Slightly smaller.
Yes, but Brock didn't change. In fact, he manhandles people more now than he did then.
Yeah.
He's bigger now than he was then. So mass-wise, not necessarily chiseled physique, but mass-wise,
Yeah.
he's bigger now. Yeah, he's still.
Just the way you said it, though.
V.
He still got that little V thing.
That's what I was thinking earlier when you were talking about it. I was like, because he was like 2 white dudes. You said,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was thinking about his tan. I was like, when he has a tan, you can really see the V. But
Yes.
I didn't want to say anything, so I guess not. But whatever.
I need you to do me a favor and stop saying that because it sounds mildly inappropriate.
Hey.
We have now been educated by Nico that is the
Yes,
paper.
that is your fact check of the night. Really?
Well, there's people that if they're
Don't
not
you, wait a minute. What industry do you work in?
Hey, just
so
Oh, that's right. They don't have those there.
so the, so
There's
anyways,
cinnamon buns.
I can't do
Look
it
right here.
because-
Right here.
So we're going to talk about, now that we've mentioned John Cena, let's talk about Cena for a second. Hey man, did you see our exchange in our group thread about
I'm
this?
not. Oh, yeah.
Did you see the exchange?
That one
Do you know what he said?
how do I say this?
You don't.
It's
Yeah, yeah, and it's by the way, it's really
How
Has
does
nothing
that?
to do with the V taper.
it leads from the V taper.
Well,
the
I
V
mean-
taper is like arrows, like.
I mean, okay.
yes.
Because
Yeah,
well, okay.
Anyway, why was I the one to be chosen?
You know what? Let's not get into that.
You guys are much better suited than I am for multiple reasons.
Well, do you want to talk
My
about
thing is,
the,
how
talk
does
about
that-
the latter part of that topic, and
talk
we
about
can talk about the first part.
Yeah.
You talk about the latter part.
I didn't hear the retirement part.
So he actually said that he is actively contemplating retiring from in-ring performing.
'Cause-
He came out and said that earlier this week, that he is actively considering retiring from in-ring performing. Didn't say whether he would or wouldn't. He just said that it's the thought is there.
I'm sure it is.
Until Vince says here,
And it was
take
just-
$2 million.
Well, and it was
15 minutes.
just what a
Break the
month
record
ago.
for the belt.
Right.
It was just a month ago that he had said that WWE doesn't need him anymore. It was just a month ago that he said that. So I think they do. I don't think they need him until you have another super showdown that takes place and you need to pull him out to do it. But again, the John Cena we have today, not the John Cena that we've had in the past. It's not the same.
No, but he is now in the same boat as Brock Lesnar. To put the asses in the seats.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't even know that he puts as many in the seats as he used to.
No, because I
He
think
puts kids in the seats, but I think that's the only people he puts in seats.
Yeah.
I mean, would you?
Unless you bring back Thugonomics John Cena for a while.
I didn't even
While.
get. I don't even think that went over as well as they thought it was going.
It was
to.
really cool.
Yeah.
It was
to
cool,
see.
but I don't think it was like that ridiculously large, over the top reaction, widespread. I think everybody's like, "Oh man, that's pretty cool." Okay, all right, what's next?
Yes, I
And
agree.
I think other people were expecting like Undertaker or someone else.
Yeah, I'm still a little bitter that he came out on Raw and not at,
Yeah.
at Mania. I don't want to talk to you. So,
Oh.
So now I'm going to be the one that's going to talk about the first part of this statement.
I think that's appropriate.
So I'm not even sure why you would ever bring this up in conversation.
Like, there's no... Why?
And for those of you that don't know what I'm referencing, John Cena openly said to TMZ that he sometimes got erections while wrestling. Accidental erections, which, as a guy, I know what you're referencing, but I don't know that I could ever say that that happened in a moment where, one, I was either in the middle of working, or two, doing something of that nature. Like, I don't...
Well, I mean, that's work.
What would possess you to even talk about it?
I got nothing. I don't. On this one, I got
know.
nothing. Smokey? Ever happen when you're out there
Digging holes?
digging holes, digging ditches?
Nope.
When you're working that drill, you ever get an accidental popper?
No.
I mean, I'm trying to keep that as PC as I can.
You called it an accidental popper.
Yeah. So,
Good
the
Lord.
V-taper leads to poppers.
Accidental ones.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Good Lord.
So, yeah,
Sometimes this show amazes me.
Well, no, it doesn't. Let's be real. There is no depravity to what we do.
And I was
So-
just thinking if you need wings to get out of that.
or flap. It's a good thing. You know what you don't need is beads.
Tapping out.
But
Just 4 of them.
so now let's wrap up our conversation on WWE and let's move on to.
Could you not follow that conversation up with let's wrap it up?
At least you're being safe.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
If it's an accident, at least be safe.
So not everybody can be safe, especially when they're in cul-de-sacs. But
It's true.
the
Got to get the belt buckle out of the way.
I'm glad that missed my head.
so we'll let Smokey Z tell you
That's a
that.
whole nother story.
We'll let
It's called
Smokey
Blue
Z
Lights.
tell you that story after we get off the air.
That story is
But-
called Blue Lights and Belt Buckles.
Folks, make your own imagination up about what he's talking about. So let's talk about AEW for a second. Real quick, to talk about one of their top stars, which, I mean, he has to be, is Chris Jericho claims that he is on a path and wants to try to claim the AEW World Heavyweight title and the New Japan Heavyweight title and be the first person to hold 2 belts from 2 different major wrestling organizations. How do you feel about Chris Jericho being that guy?
I don't mind it, honestly, because it goes into what we've said about a few other people tonight. What else is there for him to do? All right, so that is something else for him to do.
That's true.
But
But I don't think
I lose my mind over
I think
it.
if AEW is building Chris Jericho to be their guy, I think you're building your framework around the wrong person.
I
yes,
don't think he wins the title. I think.
Hangman Page?
Yeah, I think he wins, and I think he should.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously,
I think it's the
I can see
again.
why they would put it on Jericho, but
I'm a Jericho guy,
yeah,
but
you
don't
gotta
know.
give it to Hangman.
Yeah, I just
isn't he at the point in his career where it should be about building the other guys, putting the other guys over, who are going to be there much longer than you are? I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of. I guess that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
well, sure. So, since A Mann, you mentioned that you plan on attending All Out. We talked.
That's the hope. Yeah,
we-
it's going to sale tomorrow.
We talked about the what is expected to be the main event of that night, which is going to be Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega. Again, what I think is a WrestleMania, not necessarily WWE match, but WrestleMania caliber match that AEW is spoiling way too soon.
It's some old school Starcade type stuff.
And to be on the same show that you're crowning a next champion on, it's just 2 big monumental things that you're don't want to say wasting on one show, but you're putting on one show. You could have spread either one of those out.
Yeah.
That kind of makes the title match irrelevant at that point.
Well, I think that you have to have Jericho in your title match if you're looking for another main event attraction outside of Moxley and Omega.
So, I mean, are we all under the same impression that it feels like AEW is going too much too soon, just trying to make that big splash, that huge impact right away, and now there's going to come, we've said it, there's going to come a point where you don't have that impact to make anymore. You've made your name off of one-off shows, so to speak. Now what do you do every week? You can't do this every single week. You can't.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know what the fall is going to look like. We can sit here and speculate till we're blue in the face, but we don't know what the fall is going to look like.
Over 100,000 buys for Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they absolutely killed it.
Pretty,
But
Not bad for their first pay-per-view.
Yeah, and look at the price, what it was, like $50.
$59. So
59.
So they also, AEW, released a little bit of other exciting news over the past week, and that was Fyter Fest, which is it's a sub-show. It's not a pay-per-view quality show, but still another AEW show. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, that it's being held at another event. It's at a video game festival or something like that. But Fyter Fest is going to stream live on Bleacher Report.
Was there an L in there?
Report. It's a lot like reporting.
I wasn't
You
aware that
reported.
there was an L in it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's going to be a good great show.
Oh.
But
They may even have Andre the Jordan battle.
You know what the only part of this there's only one thing that makes this better, and that's the location. It's got to be in Flemish.
and it all comes full circle. As it always does with this group.
Always goes full frog.
So, yes. So, anything else that you guys want to talk about, want to bounce off of each other? Nope. Smokey? A Mann? Double K?
I'm good. I'm not bouncing anything.
That's okay.
You know what? Who asked you anyway?
That's right. That was not a fact that needed to be checked. So, folks, it is now time for our what has become my favorite part of the show, which is our weekly trivia. We made some investments this week to try to enhance our show a little bit. I'm going to move some stuff so I can actually see the buzzers for the guys. We've got Smokey Z, A Mann, and Double K that will compete for our weekly trivia champion. Double K, to inflate your ego even more. There are distinct championship cards that you will receive for being this week's trivia champion.
I'll take an air conditioner in here.
It is warm in here tonight.
In here.
But however, we do have a lot more equipment in here than we normally have for the show because it's a much more elaborate production than what we've been doing.
True. No, I'll give you that.
So we made
It's hot in here.
we made some investments. So I now have over 10,000 WWE trivia questions. So we will begin.
Suck it, Trebek.
That's not what your mother said. So we're gonna start off for our
You know she
weekly
listens to
trivia.
this
So
show.
we're going to change the rules a little bit for this one. We're going to say that because now you have the buzzers, the first person to buzz in gets to answer. Only the first two people will be able to answer.
Ooh.
Wait, can you say that again?
So the first
You're
person,
disqualified for showing up late.
the first person to hit their buzzer gets the first opportunity to answer. There will only be 2 people allowed to guess per question before we move on to the next
It's
question.
not math. You don't have to show your work.
So,
No, 'cause I was
Just answer the damn question.
so Smokey, are you ready?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you ready?
I don't know.
The rules are simple. You hit the buzzer. Only 2 people can guess per question before I move on to the next question.
Alright. Okay, let's just go.
You know what? Just let's go, or you're going to
All right.
be here all night.
First person to 10
Tortilla.
wins.
Tortillas.
Tortilla.
Oh, no, it's
That's
not.
very humiliating. So,
We do have a truck here that might have those.
So, all right.
All right.
So, everybody ready?
Yep.
Smokey Z, I'm going to need you to brush up on some of this because a lot of this is probably going to be prior to your
Nope. Stop.
prime time
Stop.
in
No
wrestling.
excuses. We have the WWE Network.
What'd you say, Kurt?
Here we go.
WWE?
In what city did Razor Ramon win his first Intercontinental Championship? Was it Buffalo, New York, New Haven, Connecticut, or Los Angeles, California? Double K.
Connecticut.
It was New Haven, Connecticut. Double K with the first
This is really short.
point of the night. At the Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view,
I don't even know what was so funny right there.
Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view, who teamed with Ted DiBiase?
I didn't know that was Canadian.
Come on. Come on.
TBSA.
At the Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view, who teamed with Ted DiBiase for tag team action? Was it the Repo Man, IRS, or Virgil? A Man.
Virgil.
IRS.
Both of you are incorrect. The answer was Repo Man. you were third.
At least you weren't 4 this time.
At least I would have gotten it right.
Yeah, you would have gotten that one right. You're
What was that? Yeah.
You're right. What'd you say? Ted who? Ted what?
He was in a battle royale.
Ted DiBiase.
What sort of match did Kama compete in at SummerSlam in 1995? There is no multiple choice.
Did Kama?
Did Kama Mustafa.
Oh, I thought you were saying like Kama, like you're like the name the person's name, like Kama.
It was against-
What year? What year?
1995.
Okay.
What kind of match was it?
What kind of match was it? Do you?
Where?
It was at SummerSlam. Do you want a hint? Everybody agree? You want a hint?
Yeah, might as well.
It was against a WWE legend.
Good call. Holy hell. Got it now.
You want a second hint?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think we have one hint yet.
This is a gimmick match that is only involving one particular performer in each of them.
Was it a casket match?
It was a casket match.
I don't even know what the question was now.
What type of match was Kama in? This was the match. This Kama Mustafa.
What
Do you
kind
know
of
who
match?
Kama Mustafa is?
No. I have no idea.
Do you know who Kama Mustafa was?
That's
No.
why I have no idea
Double
what
K?
you're saying.
Yes.
Please enlighten.
You know what? I don't even want to. The door's over there.
So, just when you get a chance, Google Kama Mustafa, and the moment the face pops up, you're going to recognize him as someone who had a train that followed him to the ring later on in his WWE career?
It was a hoe train.
Papa Shango! That's why the door's right there, because he always runs in.
Woo! Nico doesn't like that. Oh! It's okay. Kick him in his shin. You're
It
good.
just all clicked. I wasn't even trying to...
The back of his shin. They're well defined.
All right. Question number 4.
I love you, Nico.
No, we're still... Double K, you have a 2-point lead.
I know.
A-Man
Double
is-
K.
Try it.
Double.
A-Man, you're still scoreless.
Yeah.
And Smokey Z, you're still scoreless. Question number 4. Who interfered in Bret Hart's match in SummerSlam of 1995?
I see we're still in SummerSlam of 95 here.
We are. Would you like a hint? Who interfered? This individual is a WWE Hall of Famer. However, he was not only an in-ring performer.
Ooh. Wait. Say that last part again. However, he was not only an in-ring performer. What'd you say?
Yes. This individual, this is your hint, is a WWE Hall of Famer. However, he was not only an in-ring performer. Double K.
Ric Flair.
It was not Ric Flair.
Okay.
Second hint.
That's some bull.
Well, I mean,
You can't give 2 hints after you. No, I'm just kidding.
I've only
Go
given
ahead.
1 hint so far, so
Well, that's what I'm saying. Anyway.
2 hints, or 1, this will be the second hint. This individual also has a podcast that he currently does now, based out of Tennessee. I'm going to give you guys about 10 seconds before I move on to the next question.
Was it Steve Austin?
It was not Steve Austin. Nico's got my countdown. Time is up. The answer was Jerry Lawler, who's a WWE Hall of Famer. He does, and it's called Dinner with the King.
Really?
And it is based out of Memphis. So, question number 5. We're still going to be in SummerSlam of 1995.
Good Lord, man.
I know what I'm watching tonight.
What sort of match did Rosa remain?
Is it a new type of lettuce?
Good Lord.
You can tell I'm tired. What sort of
What'd you
match
say, Roser?
did Razor Ramon have at SummerSlam of 95? Double K.
Ladder match.
It was a ladder match. Double K now with a 3-point lead.
What are you doing over there, Nico?
He needs another marker because he threw his last one at me.
That's unfortunate. I don't know why he's getting a marker. He doesn't think he's going to write.
How many questions are we having tonight?
It's first person to 10.
Okay. Oh, first person to 10.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
Number 1 of this card. Who managed the Bushwhackers at the 1992 Royal Rumble? Was it Rowdy Roddy Piper, Gorilla Monsoon, or Jameson? That was all A Man. Her button did not light up, but she did hit it first.
Wait, now I forget what my answer was.
Oh,
It was the third one.
That would be Jameson.
Yeah.
Jameson is correct.
Okay.
We're going to stick with same kind of time era. Who did Savio Vega defeat in the qualifying match to get into the 1995 King of the Ring?
why are we stuck in 95, man?
Was it Ted DiBiase,
Who?
Yes.
Owen Hart, or IRS? Double K.
Owen
Wait
Hart.
a minute, Nico, what do you say? Amen? Amen.
IRS.
It was IRS. Question number
You know what?
3.
You're a fact checker. I suggest
He
you
was
stick.
checking the fact of who hit the button
I
first.
suggest that you stick to your job because that table looks mighty inviting.
Wow. It's thicker than his calves are. So. Who won the main event at the first WWF In Your House?
Oh,
Shawn Michaels?
It was not Shawn Michaels.
God. So you're out.
Was it The Undertaker?
It was not The Undertaker. So that question will go with no points. It was Diesel.
Really?
It was.
Sean.
I believe it was Shawn that he faced in that match.
Oh.
Who lost in the main event? Oh, well, there you go. This was... Hold on, let me make sure I didn't spoil that.
I think you.
No, I did not, because it was not Shawn Michaels. Who did Diesel beat in the main event at that match? I'll give you... I will give you... Nobody hit a buzzer, so I will give you 3 options. Was it Hulk Hogan, Sid Vicious, or Razor Ramon? A Mann.
Sid Vicious.
It was Sid Vicious.
Zach's like, no!
Who interfered in that same match?
Oh, no multiple choice here.
No multiple choice.
Sean.
It was not Shawn. I was getting ready to give a hint, too, but you hit your button too soon.
Well, you paused and didn't
So-
say anything, so.
Your hint, this same individual has made several appearances at Royal Rumble events in the near past.
You said several?
Several appearances.
In the near past. Wouldn't that be recently? Just saying.
I'm going to stab him in the eye with a marker.
Just saying. Do I get the answer now since you dropped a hint? Just kidding.
You know?
This individual also stayed around for a while and has a unique character with native origins. Smokey Z.
Tatanka?
It was Tatanka. He understood what that meant. I'm shocked.
Right? He got origin confused with another word. That's how I knew.
Who was interviewing Stone Cold Steve Austin when he made his famous Austin 316 speech?
Michael P.S. Hayes.
It was not Michael P.S. Hayes.
Okay.
It is multiple choice.
All right. Well, it's too late now. Sucks to suck.
Was it Michael Cole, The Patriot, or Doc Hendricks?
What? I don't think that's right. I can see them. The one where he gave us Austin 316?
316? Yes.
Yeah, I'm so
Double K.
Michael Cole.
It was not Michael Cole.
I don't know. But you.
Oh, 2 people have already answered. It was Doc Hendricks.
I just threw
If you
I
remember-
see, I thought it was Michael Hayes.
If you remember, they were standing just offsides the King of the Ring
I know
throne.
where they were standing.
Doc Hendricks is a short guy, got kind of
I
fluffy
still thought it was
blonde
Michael
hair.
Hayes, though.
No, it was
Hold on, you're not the fact checker. Put the phone down.
Let Nico check that
calls for
fact.
grounds for DQ.
oh, okay.
Hey.
Thank you for the warning.
Who defeated
do it
Jerry
again.
Lawler at the King of the Ring in 1997? Was it Triple H, Mankind, or Stone Cold? Double K.
Stone Cold.
It was not Stone Cold.
I was just trying to get my buzzer on quick.
Hold on. He made me forget what the other 2 were.
Mankind or Triple H?
Mankind.
You didn't hit your buzzer.
I did.
He did. He
Oh.
did it when I hit mine.
Yeah, that's right.
Mankind is correct.
Trying to get screwed over here.
It was Doc Hendricks, as confirmed by Nico.
I was 100% with you
I feel
there.
like I can see them.
Yeah, yes.
What was unique about the tag title bout at WrestleMania 5?
What's unique about it?
What was unique
Oh,
about it?
man.
That's a very broad question.
Yeah.
There's a lot could be unique about the match.
Okay. So you want a hint?
Sure.
Take one.
It
before you
was
get
the
one.
first time
Your hints suck typically, but
that this particular style of match ever involved a title.
what?
Smokey?
Ladder match.
It was not a ladder match.
This was a tag team.
It was a tag team. Well, it was a tag team title match. Double K.
Texas Tornado.
No, it was a handicap match.
Okay. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
They weren't really.
I kind of got that hint now
They were just like four dudes.
when you said it was a tag team title match.
Who were Axe and Smash's opponents at WrestleMania 5?
Oh man, I can think of a lot of people that could be, and I can't.
One of these individuals is a WWE Hall of Famer. It was 3 individuals. Who were the opponents of Axe and Smash at WrestleMania 5?
But only one of their opponents
Is a Hall of Famer.
Like I've got so many things running through my
Were
head
they
right now.
inducted recently?
No.
And no, he will not use it in a sentence.
And we'll do our 10-second countdown
Give
here.
one more hint. Give one more hint.
One more hint before I do the countdown?
Yeah.
One of these folks being a Hall of Famer. Another one has a gimmick that allowed him to use his size as part of his character. Double K.
Natural disasters.
No.
Was Rikishi one of them?
No. So there's the 2 guesses. I was actually not expecting any of you to get this. It was
Thanks, buddy.
the Warlord, Barbarian, and Mr. Fuji.
Are you kidding?
No.
I was thinking first.
Oh man.
Are you serious?
So here you go. I'll give you a quick question.
Oh my god, that's exactly who my first thought was.
First person that can tell me this, I'll give you a point based off of it. Which one of those 3 is the Hall of Famer?
Mr. Fuji.
Yeah.
Mr. Fuji is the Hall of Famer.
That shouldn't be a point.
Well,
Why,
I said
because you
that
didn't
right
get
before
it?
I asked
No,
that.
because it takes me a second to process the question.
Well, whose fault
Well,
is
just
that?
because you're slow does not mean...
I mean,
we're not going to go with that question.
That's exactly what I was thinking first, though. God.
you still got a point.
That's true. But still, I could have had 2.
Yeah.
Who won the Brawl for All tournament in 1998? What?
Sorry. Continue, but I still think I have an answer, but continue.
Was it Bart Gunn, Steve Williams, or Bradshaw?
It was Bart Gunn.
No, it was.
It was indeed Bart Gunn.
I knew it before you finished the
Yeah.
question, but
I remember.
I don't know.
So
what
I'll award
I knew the answer.
I'll award a bonus point if you can tell me what was Steve Williams' full in-ring name.
Dr. Death Steve Williams?
It was Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Yeah. Get that. Did I get that?
No, you can't get that. Nope.
Here you go. Who was Bart Gunn's final opponent in the... I didn't even get to finish the
I know.
question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Who was Bart Gunn's final opponent in the Brawl for All tournament of 1998? Was it Steve
I've already
Williams,
hit mine.
Draws, or Bradshaw? Double K.
Steve Williams.
It was not Steve Williams.
What were the other two?
Because that wasn't what I was thinking
I
anyway.
originally hit my button
Okay.
the same time he did.
Yeah.
What were the other two again?
If you put your damn button down, I might be able to see when you hit it.
That's a good point. I thought I knew.
So, what is your guess?
What were the other two again?
And then my guess wasn't even part of the three.
The
so
other two are
I really thought I knew.
Draws or Bradshaw.
Bradshaw.
It was Bradshaw.
Yeah, Draws I don't think was quite relevant yet.
Demolition lost the tag title to what twosome on Saturday night's main event?
I mean, that's as broad as it could ever possibly be.
So here's your hint. This particular tag team has a move named after them. Smokey Z.
The Dudley Boys.
No, the Dudley Boys is not the name of a move, but I'll give you an A for effort. They have a move named after them.
Well,
You want,
technically, the Dudley Boys do have. They're also known as 3D, and their finishing move is 3D.
You're out of this.
Just saying. Technically, I am right. Not about that
No,
question. Not about the question. I'm talking
You're
about their
100% technically wrong on that one. We didn't get a year.
there's no year.
Give another hint, though.
You want another hint?
Yeah, because it's still like...
The first hint is they have a move named after them. The second hint is that this particular move begins in a front headlock. She's thinking through this process. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Double K.
I don't know, Bulldog.
No.
I just had to throw something out there.
It was the Brain Busters.
Right, yeah. Yeah, makes sense. I don't think I would have pulled that one.
So here we go. This one will be first person to answer only. It is true or false.
I'm good at these.
Demolition was the first team to be featured in the magazine known as the Wrestling Spotlight. Nico. Double K.
I got a fit shot.
Was this was this true or false?
True.
It was true.
Suck it. Hey, Roser. Shh.
The $1 Million Man,
What's his name?
Ted DiBiase, had a prized possession. I didn't even finish the question again.
Yeah.
What was that prized
I've already hit it.
possession?
This should be disqualified.
What's this about?
It was his $1 million title belt.
This should be
But I was quicker than you. I was quicker than you.
All right, so here we go. If you hit the button
Ted
before I
DiBiase got you.
if you hit the button before I finish answering the question, you are eliminated from being able to
That's
answer
bull.
that
Trebek
question.
doesn't do that on Jeopardy.
I'm not Trebek. Sean.
Hey, man, you can be Roser. You like somebody took a Roser to your head.
I don't even like you.
Just saying. Here, click in real fast.
Who is the world's most dangerous man? Was it Mark Henry, Dan Severn, or Ken Shamrock?
He's not even watching.
Double K.
Shamrock.
It was Ken Shamrock.
This is some.
No, I hit it before.
I think I'm going to have to invest in that other
We already know that you're slow.
trivia
You
buzzer
don't
set.
get to your buzzer.
So this
Well, you
doesn't
did hit
happen
it.
anymore.
You just hit it after I hit it. No.
We
Mm-mm.
need like an instant replay.
See, I hit it for you again.
Next year.
These are awful.
That's messed up.
Which superstar is known as the Lethal Weapon? Was it
Oh, that's right.
Can I hit it?
Dan Severn.
Can I hit it?
No. Oh! Ken Shamrock. Or Steve Blackman. Double K.
Steve Blackman.
It was Steve Blackman.
You're just slow. I don't know what else to say. You did hit it. You sure did.
For you.
No, you did not.
Okay.
This is really stressing me out.
It sucks losing. But.
What was the name of the event held on the USS Intrepid on July
On the
4th? USS Intrepid
Okay.
on July 4th, 1993. Was it the Stars and Stripes Challenge, Slamma Jamma Yoko, or the Open Call? A Mann.
The open call.
It was not. Double K. He hit his second.
What was the first one? It was the first one.
The Stars and Stripes Challenge.
Yes.
Or Slamma Jamma
It was
Yoko.
Stars and Stripes Challenge.
It was the Stars and Stripes Challenge. Double K. That is 10 points. So
Final score. Announce that real quick.
it is Double K 10, A Man 4, Smokey Z 3.
Because Double K is a cheater.
No.
Folks, I will solve this.
CH.
I will
It is
ensure.
a champion, though.
I will ensure.
How many times is that?
This now makes you the 5-time reigning Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion.
I just got here, so.
Oh.
Didn't you win last week over Smokey Z?
I did.
And then you followed that up with a loss.
Well, it's because you had it.
No.
You had this whole thing.
So here is your
Yeah, it works for me.
official 6-13-19 Trivia Champion card. So, folks, that's going to wrap up another wild and crazy episode of Wrestle Rewind. It has been a true pleasure as always.
10 pounds of gold on my shoulder.
We thank you for joining us here. As always, it's a great pleasure to have everybody, whether it's live on Facebook, live on the many platforms that we're available on, whether it be iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Facebook Live, YouTube, wherever it is that you're listening to us or watching us, we appreciate it. We thank you for taking the time to join us. As always, it's Tommy T.
Double K.
Smokey Z.
And,
Amen.
folks, we will see you next Thursday, 8:30 live, coming to a home near you.